Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 9 of BFI Extras. I am Benikage. The far side is Parks as always, and we've got the wonderful Bokor here with us. Hello, Bokor.
Hello. How are you
I,
guys?
I, al-
I'm
I
doing
always
well.
have this tendency, by the way, whenever I want to be like, Bokor, like really pronunciate your name, to just roll the R at the end unnecessarily. So forgive me if you
have
ever hear that.
have
It's
an R
just,
No, it's
rolling
good.
test.
It's good.
okay.
That's
Uh,
actually how you pronounce it. That there are some people who say it like Bokor here in
uh-huh.
Brazil, and it's
Mhm.
not. It's just Bokor.
Oh, it's
Poker.
Boker. Okay.
Like
Okay.
Yeah,
poker.
I'm sorry. It's
I
one of
guess
these
so.
things. It's one of these things, by the way, that like when I listen to Impact, like the LAN or the regular season, and they're commentating on the mainstream, it's like Cammy, and I'm like it's Kami, and it's like Younger, and I'm like it's Younger. I'm like, oh my god. So it's like I'm gonna
Yeah,
set an over under for season 4, like on how many mispronunciations. But no,
yeah. I really don't care about it. You can call it how you want it, so that's fine.
okay. Getting into the interview, then I want to start with having you tell us a little bit about how you got started in CS, because you're one of the, I don't want to say younger players, but you are still very young, and you have a very you know good team history, I should say. That's played for quite a few good sides throughout the years in Brazil. But how did you actually get started picking up Counter Strike, and then also trying to compete in Counter Strike?
Hmm. So I was like a very gamer girl kid, kinda. So I played a lot of Minecraft, and then with my schoolmates. So one of my ex friends, he told me like, "Oh, there's this very cool game called Counter Strike. Do you want to buy and play with me?" And I said like, "No, I'm not playing this shoot game. I don't like this kind of stuff. Like I only play Minecraft. I only put blocks in places and like mine. I don't want to shoot." And then he told me, "No, just buy it. You're gonna like it." And I was like, "Ah, okay then." So I asked my grandma, who was at home with me, and she bought me when I was like 12. And then I just played Counter Strike since. Like on the first week I played Counter Strike, I was with like 90 hours. Like the
Wow.
first 2 weeks, the
Wow.
first 2 weeks I had 90 hours. I just like n- never
Was your
played
I'm
Does
doing the
your
any
math
other
right
grandma
now.
game.
did one of those things where she's like mortified that she bought you this like violent game? Because I pulled one over my parents the same way when I was 13. I'm like, no, it's a sports game, and it was Unreal Tournament, and you're running around shooting everybody, and they're like, oh my god, it's horrible.
Like my family never had this kind of thing. Like they didn't restrict my access as a kid like on TV shows and that kind of stuff. But she was scared because on the first week I was already being really, really, really toxic playing
Oh,
like matchmakings. I was like just shouting to everyone and saying bad words.
if we're
So
going off
she was
the
worried.
yeah, if we're going off the 90 hours in 1 week kind of thing, that's 13 hours a day. I
Yeah.
can
Wow.
understand why you've turned toxic very quickly.
And I was like a silver for one year straight and I couldn't go past that. And um I was introduced to Pro Counter Strike with that friend that showed me CS. He told me, "Oh, there's this team called Immortals at the time, I think, when they won the two majors."
Yes.
And
Okay.
he was showing me the tournament and they playing lands, and I was like, "Oh my god, I want to be there." But like as you know, there wasn't any female references. And I actually there was, but only at South America scene, and there was no like uh, big public watching them. So I got to know the Vivo Kid at the time. There was this female team with Sholiana, Bizinha, Gabby, who was like winning everything. And then I saw them, and I was like, "Oh, I really want to be them." And I there's this message I sent Cami like when I was 12 on Facebook. saying that she was a very big inspiration for me. And then I wanted to play with her one day, and she showed me this message like 1 year ago, I think, and she said, "Oh, you were so cute back then, and now you just win against me." And like that's a nice thing though. And I just said, like, I received my first invite to play on a female team when I was 14, like a good team, a good South America team. That was Team One.
Yeah.
And at that time, I stopped going to school because I always struggled with social anxiety and also with depression. So I never went like straight to school. I always skipped classes since I was like a baby. So when I started playing CS, it was like the only thing that comforted me. So I stopped really going to school. I did school at home because I had like this medical, how is it called? This medical letter that said that I could
Yeah.
be like homeschooled. Here in Brazil, we don't have homeschool, but it's like you do those tests at home and then
Right.
you send it to school and then you go past your year.
Right.
So then I started playing a lot of Counter Strike, and I was also struggling with depression and blah blah blah. And that's why I I left a lot of teams. As you might saw on my like history of
Yeah.
teams, I stayed a little bit on each team and then I just left. It's because of this, because I do treatment for depression, anxiety, social anxiety. I also do therapy, but it's something I'm being able to control right now. Like on the past 2 years is where I'm more stable, and now I can deal with it as I can deal with like the stress on Counter Strike.
Okay. I saw the page because I was looking and I'm like I knew you picked it up at a very young age, so that's why I was like, and Brazil is it's not there's not the kind of age restrictions that there are like in the North American circuit that we saw with like Impact, and I know it affected Poppins particularly, right? With
Yeah,
I think at the time it was Black Dragons before they signed with B4, but I know she wasn't able to do Impact because they have an age requirement. So I always just assumed it was because you had come into the scene at such an early age. But I want to pivot a little bit and talk about the actual scene in Brazil, just mainly the Liga Feminina circuit, because it's a little bit known about now, and I think Western audiences, particularly here in like North America, are starting to get their eyes on it a little bit more, because it's obviously the Brazilian teams have done so well on land, but then also because it is like a full circuit where you play the two Liga Femininas and it leads to qualification spots and all that. But in the early days, it wasn't like that. It was almost like a monthly tournament. So, can you shed some light on like what the women's scene was like and the League of Feminina series was like in those early days a few years ago?
yeah. So as you said, like the Liga Feminina was a monthly tournament, so there wasn't like any big uh, how does it say? Not award, but like prize. There was not a
Okay.
big
Prize pool.
prize
Yeah, not
back
a lot of
then.
money.
Yeah. But it was like to encourage the girls to actually play a circuit with another girls and get invited to teams. And I think back in 2019 or 2020, I don't remember right now. And then they started making those GC Masters. And then the Liga Femenina got better because otherwise than just getting a small prize pool, we would get also a spot on like a bigger event.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important for us because the other regions don't have like this kind of female circuit on their region. And I think that's kind of why we Brazilians actually got really good on the ESL Impact.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
I, I actually I mentioned in an interview earlier today that uh I was interviewed and I said, I remember talking to Emmy from CLG Red back in like season 1 right before the Dallas land in 2022 and saying, "Oh, I think the Brazilian teams are going to be pretty good." And she said, "Well, historically we've always kind of rolled over them quite a bit. There hasn't been much of a. Then obviously, they
That
Furia made the
result.
final for yeah at that land,
Yeah.
went 3 maps at that land,
Yeah.
and it was kind of like that. That's a thing of the past now. So I agree. I think you're right. I think it's really changed the landscape in Brazil, and I want to talk about that. I had this point for a little further in the show, but I'll bring it up now, and that's just the different variety of tournaments that go on in Brazil and the health of the scene now. Because I saw historically there was the girls' league, and there were a few different competitions, but now it's like there's Brazilian Game Show, there's the whole Liga Feminina circuit. There's I think we had Valkyris was a tournament last year as well. So can you talk about how intense the schedule is, packed in a way the schedule is, but also like what you think that does for the whole women's circuit in Brazil?
I think mostly the all of those circuits they have one purpose of getting new girls to play. So I don't think it's something for us to like evolve and that kind of stuff because I think we do that as we play with another male teams, as on Série B here in Brazil or other tournaments like CCT and that kind of stuff. Um, but it's a lot for us for the new girls look at the girls playing against each other and see like, oh, I want to be there. And for that, I think there's a lot of new players here in Brazil who are just getting started and going through some new teams on ESL Impact that just got qualified. And I think it's more for the young girls to have a representation. And I think that's great because here in Brazil, I think we have a lot of players.
Yeah. No,
It's a
you.
safe space.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about having all these different matches and everything. You also having a lot of teams to support, like Team One, MIBR, W7M, like all these organizations that are kind of around to help support the whole scene as well. I think that's really good. We kind of mentioned, where your origins were. I mean, you said it yourself. Your first big team was Team One. Um, your experience there. You said you didn't stay too long, but like, what was it like, kind of for all of a sudden you're under an organization now, you're kind of getting paid to play, you're representing something, like how was that general feeling of just like, oh, like I can do this for a living kind of thing?
It was really, really good because I was like a big revelation at the time. So no one actually was betting on me.
Yeah.
But when I went to Team One, I didn't know anything about CS, but I did know how to shoot. So that's why they used me,
That's
like
half the battle right
make
there.
Yeah.
entry, like soloing bombs and that kind of stuff. And then everyone started to see me as a promise of Counter Strike. So that was really good at the time, but as I said, I had those up and
Yeah,
downs
the up and downs.
along that I was not like the promise thing
Yeah,
they
yeah.
the people think I was going to be. But I guess that actually gave me a lot of experience for me now to be a really young player. Like I'm only 18 now, and I also have a lot of experience. I'm doing in-game leader now, and I think I know better than like the other girls at my age.
I actually had that prepped as a question real quick, and that's I think did you I think remind me if I'm wrong, but I had heard that you started in game leading when you were in W7M.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay. How did that come about?
So, at the time I accepted the invite on W7M, I was actually being an influencer for MIBR. So, I kind of stepped out of the team and said, "Oh, do you guys want me to stream for you?" and that kind of stuff. And they said, "Yeah." So, I stood there for a while and then I was watching the girls tournament here in Brazil, I think the girls league,
Okay.
the second split.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, I need to be there. I need to be
Yeah.
there. I need to play. Oh my God, I don't want to stream anymore and make funny jokes on the webcam. So then Yodinha sent me a message saying that they wanted me on the team. And firstly, I said like, oh, I need to think because here I'm getting uh really good payment, and like streaming gives you more money than actually playing.
Yes.
So I thought like for one day, and then I said, "Oh, let's go, let's go. I need to play." And then back then, I wasn't supposed to be the in-game leader. We had like Juliana was in-game leading back then,
Right.
and we had like a Portuguese coach who was like not known on the Brazilian scene, but he was very, very good. And then he started coaching us, and he said, "Oh, I think Bokor could make a good in-game leader. Like you're not ready yet, but I can prepare you for that." And then I started learning CS. I had like 120 hours, and I was watching demos, like 6 demos per day, and I was getting crazy, but I learned a lot of stuff. And then I could apply that on the end of W7M because we won against B4, we won against MIBR back then, and was a hard time because all of the girls were new and they weren't used to play like that much CS and going out of the box, may I say.
Yeah.
And when I left W7M to go to Fourier, um, I was kind of worried if I could have the same impact I had as an in-game leader. And I think I had a good performance back there, but I think I'm better at in-game leading right now. Like I really like to study CS and be in control of the things my team is doing. So I guess I fit on the IGL best right now.
Just want a quick shout out. I believe there's George Putt. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. As the coach, that's the first coach that I see listed when I look at W7M with you on it. Is George
Yeah,
Putt?
George was not the Portuguese guy, but he was a coach before
Okay,
I joined. And the other one was Xander.
Xander.
I
Okay,
think he's like coaching a CCT team. I don't know
all
if it's
right.
on CCT, but like he's
Okay.
a good coach. I cannot say anything about this.
Um, I wanted to ask you what it was like. I know you said, and I know I'm backtracking a little bit, so forgive me,
No
but
problem.
um, you know, the previous teams that you were on and working with some of the, I guess, older players in the scene that have really been there before. Like, I believe you were in a team with Napper, if I want to say, I remember correctly, and you competed with alongside Napper and also Kami, and I know they're kind of the veterans of the scene. So what was it like, you know, playing with these veterans of Brazilian Counter Strike and Sholiana as well? You mentioned.
Yeah. So I didn't play it with Napper actually. I joined on her place, but I
Okay.
played with the other girls. Like Julie was there, also Josie was there, Mai and Mittens, but they are not playing Counter Strike anymore. They're playing Valorant right now. But they played like since dinosaurs were on Earth. Like seriously, they they I believe they played like the 1.6 Counter Strike as well. And that back at then I only played Counter Strike for 2 years, so everything they said was a law, and I respected them very much because I was actually playing with the girls I admire. So I learned a lot with them, and they were so good to me because they really um, try to help me as much as they can, and they always gave me support. As I was a child then, so they were actually treating me like a little baby, and that was good back then because as you grow older, like the scene can be really more hostile, and back then I felt really, how do I say? Like
Comfortable,
I felt
safe.
like they hugged me.
Yeah,
Yeah, safe. It was a safe space.
amazing. So yeah, so then so yeah, so you go between veteran teams and everything. You go through MIBR, IGLing on W7M, and then all of a sudden now you find yourself on Furia. Was that a move that just kind of like Furia looked towards you? Would that have been around the time that Olga left, or was that before? I might be a little bit. off on that?
That was before, actually,
Before.
for Mary's spot.
Right.
And I believe they were looking for a young girl, like who had aim and that youthfulness,
Right.
but also an experienced girl because they had this experience with Mary that they were actually building a girl because she never had experience playing on a tier 1 team here in Brazil.
Right.
So they had to actually mold her into things, and they didn't like that kind of work because they just needed to keep their spot on top one. They j- they felt like they don't needed to innovate. So
Yeah.
I believe that when they got like a lot of second places to Nigma,
Yeah.
um, they were starting to change things, and I guess this was one of them because as I had like an in-game leader experience, I was actually being able to like play soloing and also given calls like, oh, they're not playing aggressive on monster. Oh, they are pushing short every round and that kind of stuff. So I could help with the calls mid game, and I think that helped a lot actually.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that leads us in terms of the whole team structure stuff. I guess that leads us now to your current team, which I'm gonna say it wrong because I know I am. Uh,
Or is it
Mocreas.
more? Is it more
Mo
craziest?
Creyas. Mo
Okay.
Mocreas.
Creyas.
Mocreas.
Yes, perfect.
I can fake an accent. I can't actually get one.
Okay, it's perfect.
So, I mean, this is an unsigned team. It's relatively new. You started it just for kind of around this time of Impact. Um, are you guys in Impact Season 4? I don't actually
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, they
Yeah, we
qualify.
are.
Amazing. So I mean, what are your expectations? I guess for overall for everything. Like I'm guessing you're IGLing for the squad and everything like that. So like, what's the overall idea right now for the team?
Okay. So, firstly, I left Furia because I had some health issues. I struggle with headaches, and
Yeah,
I was getting treatment back then, and it was really getting into my daily life and CS, so I had to stop playing.
yeah,
And then a lot of because of stress right there, because the girls really didn't like to lose, and I don't like as well.
yeah,
And then later on, when I was on bench, I thought to myself that I wanted to renovate things. I want to like build a team on the way that I want with the values that I want
yeah,
for my team, like being a second family and thinking more of a long-term project. And also, I wanted to get like young girls also who have experience on playing ESL impacts and playing lands and that kind of stuff, and girls who also wanted to learn. And
yeah,
for me, that's the most important because I'm not where I want to be on CS:GO. Like I don't want to play the female scene, and I really, really, really want to be like among the best players in Brazil, the best teams in Brazil in
yeah,
general, not talking about the female scene. So I started to give like this kind of of speeches on my team
yeah,
that we needed to be more than what we are. We cannot like be focused entirely on the female scene, also because we have a lot of male like mixed tournaments here in Brazil,
right.
and that helps a lot. So it's more of a long-term project, but I'm happy to be with the girls. They are very, very skilled, and I'm looking for the ESL Impact and also the other tournaments.
How did the formation of that team come about? Because I look at like just Bob's and Sinon, who I thought were fantastic in Black Dragon. Sinon particularly. But Bob's also had some amazing performances, and then obviously you have Mari now on the side on the team, and then I believe the fifth is Arquina. So it looks like a really good lineup, but I feel like it's kind of taken pieces from everywhere. A little bit from Black Dragons, a little bit from W7M. So how did the formation of all of you actually come about?
So firstly, back at the time when Anna haven't joined Furia yet, she texted me saying that like Black Dragons was going to like end their contracts and they wanted to like form a team with me being IGL, and then the team was going to be me, Anna, Babs, and Sinan, and we didn't have a fifth player, and we were. And then she was like very close with the project. She didn't want to go anywhere, but like as she said, like if Fury offers me a lot of money, I need to go. So she went
Yeah.
because it's work. Like we don't care about this. And then Bab sent me a message saying that they wanted to keep the project with us. So I said, we need to get two more players. And then I started like looking demos for from all the girls here in South America. And then I found Mary. Mary, like, I've heard a lot of in-game situations about Mary there in Furia, and I was like a little worried about that. But then we also got Segala, who worked with her, and told me a lot of good things about her. That she has a lot of aim skill and a lot of dedication, and she really wants to win. So I got kind of joyful, and I was hoping that I could talk to her.
Yeah.
And then I kind of chatted with her about like all the project and the ideas, and for our luck, her contract was 2 weeks, I guess, from expiring. So she asked for no renovation, and then we got her to the team. And like I might say, I'm building her to be a star player. So
Huh,
I guess
I
you're
love
gonna
it.
see a lot more about Mary because she has an insane aim, and also she's very very smart. And I'm kind of building this on her, and I believe she's gonna be the best in Brazil, like in a year. And also we do have a fifth player,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it can be announced yet.
Oh, surprise.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
surprise,
Surprise.
surprise.
We'll
Okay.
we'll wait a few weeks to see you guys play. And then we'll
Yeah,
know. We
but
keep
it's
sharp eyes.
not our Kinga,
No.
as so you know. No.
Oh, okay. I was looking on Wikipedia and everything. I dug through everything I could find,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, it's
Yeah,
Arcania, and
We
it's like, okay,
we
no, no,
we
no.
dig.
we play with her. Yeah, we play with her on the ESL Impact Open,
Yeah.
Right.
but she was only completing. We
Right.
She's not on the team, and I'm looking forward to announce for you guys. But we
Not an
need an
exclusive. No exclusive
It's
yet.
organization
all it's
first.
all good. It's all
We need an
good.
organization first. There are
Yeah.
We're waiting.
contracts.
No leaks. No leaks on this
I
podcast. No
can't leak
leaks.
these,
Oh,
guys.
we
I'm
want to leak.
sorry.
You
But
can't leak, but you know.
No leaks.
No leaks.
Oh,
I believe it's going to be announced soon.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you guys are in talks with organizations then? Is that to be inferred?
Yeah, we're talking, but it's getting kind of hard because before recently, like, left the organization, and as they are top one currently, they are stalling a lot of organizations
Yeah,
for us.
they got a lot of interest. Of course.
Yeah, they are having their moment, and
You'll have your moment soon. Not to be worried.
yeah, and we are fighting for an organization. We still haven't like closed with one yet,
Yeah.
but we are close to it, I believe.
Good. So I mean one thing that we keep talking about is you are 18. You are relatively young in terms of age, but you've been
Yes.
around the scene for a few years now. So in a way, you've got the veteran experience with still a long way to go. Like, I mean, you look at somebody like Forrest, who was 33, 34 when, or Kerrigan, he's a very,
I mean, Ramona.
mid
Ramona as
Ramona,
well.
into their 30s, kind of like Benny, and and still doing great work. You had to wait for the second bit there. Um, I mean, so you've got you still potentially have a long career ahead of you. You talked about with this roster, bringing up other prospects with here. Do you consider yourself still like a prospect, somebody who's still kind of growing and learning with the game? Or do you think, you know what, maybe I'm kind of getting towards where my peak is going to be, but I'm going to help push others forward and kind of usher in a new generation as I grow with them?
Yeah, I think I need to grow with them because I think I didn't have my moment yet to
Yeah.
shine. But I also want to grow with the girls. I think when we actually push only one person forward, we all get behind. And
Yeah.
then I don't want that. I don't want someone to carry like Olga did, and then like everything gets easy because she carries. But there's gonna be some games that one person can do much.
Yeah.
And I want to actually make a team that doesn't have someone who needs to kill for us to win or someone who needs to carry. I think we all need to make 16 rounds and that's it. I'm fine with that. I don't care if I'm 6-20 or if I'm like 30-10. I don't care. I just want to win. No matter what.
Amazing.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Um, that is pretty much time on the podcast. So, any special shout outs or mentions or anything that you want to say before we wrap up shop here?
Hmm. Special shout outs. Okay. So shout out to my mom and my dad because they are probably gonna watch this. They
Oh.
like to see me speak in English because I'm so ashamed of it. And I
Oh.
really don't
What?
like to.
Why? It's
What?
perfect. It's so
What?
good.
No, it's not. I haven't took any English classes in my life. I only learned like watching YouTube and
No way.
listening.
I actually don't
Yeah,
believe
no.
you. I don't
There's
believe you.
It's true. I only had like this basic school English, and they were teaching me to say like I am, you are, he is, she is, and that's it.
Right.
And I'm ashamed of it, but I'm trying to learn a little more
Your
right
your
now.
English is great. Just
Oh,
putting
thank
out your
you.
English is great.
it's fantastic.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying my
You're doing
best.
great.
So shout out to my mom and my dad. I love you both. And also shout out to my boyfriend, Lub, who also plays Counter Strike.
Amazing.
And that's it.
That's it. That's all the shout outs you need.
Yeah, that's all the shout outs.
Shout out to the organization that signs you when that happens.
Yeah, shout out to the organization. We don't know yet who it is, but shout out anyways.
Shout out. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day. I mean, it's night there. It looks to be very dark in your room.
Oh,
So
it's fine.
we won't hold you any longer. Thank you so much. And I
Thank
mean,
you.
we'll be back with our regularly scheduled program the week after this episode comes out. We're recording this one a little bit early, but hey, we get stuff done here. We got to get these players in before the season starts because then they get really
Yeah.
busy and we don't get to talk to them
And
anymore.
Yeah.
and for all the viewers, I gotta say, follow Bokor on Twitter, on the socials, and also follow in Impact Season 4 because I think big things are definitely coming. I think that's it's on the horizon for you. But anyway, that's gonna do it for episode 9 of BFI Extras. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next episode, take care.